Good morning, North Star. My name is Josh Drake, and I serve on the leadership board there. So today we're going to be continuing our Passion Week devotionals by looking at the sufferings that Jesus underwent leading up to his crucifixion. And so we see in Matthew chapter 27, starting in verse 26, that after being condemned to be crucified, he is flogged or whipped. And this was done with a whip that had multiple different strands on it, different leather strips. But at the end of those strips would have been pieces of bone or metal, so that it wasn't just a striking with a leather whip, but these things would dig into the skin. And then when it was pulled away, it would rip chunks of flesh with it. And so after that, he is handed over to the guards, who strip him of his clothes, take a crown of thorns, and shove it down on his head, with the thorns digging into the flesh around his eyes, his scalp. After that, he is spit on, he is verbally mocked and abused, and then ultimately they take the staff that they had give him as a false scepter, and they strike him in the head with it. And then after that, bleeding, probably heavily concussed, and with pieces of his body barely clinging on, he is made to hike up to the top of a mountain. And once there, he is laid on a wooden cross, and nails, or at least what would amount to us as the equivalent of railroad spikes, are driven through his hands and into his feet. And he is raised up for all to see. And he does all of this refusing any type of pain medication. So the guards offer him wine mixed with gall, which was the equivalent of ibuprofen at the time. And he refuses it. And he's left there for several hours until ultimately he does pass away. He gives up his spirit. Now, this is a ghastly scene. This is horrendous to picture, to think about, and to even talk about, quite frankly. But yet, we refer to this day as Good Friday. What on earth can be good about the scene I just described? Well, that's because we know something that the disciples didn't at the time, because they scattered. They were fearful. They had thought their world was crashing down. But we have the benefit of knowing what comes next, of what was accomplished through that suffering and on that cross and through Jesus' death. So today, as you, along with millions of brothers and sisters around the world, meditate on the suffering and death of Jesus on a cross, do so with one eye towards the horizon, because you do that knowing what's coming next, that death does not have the final word, and that Sunday is coming.